All right, so you're thinking about moving somewhere here in Florida, but you can't really get here to see the house that you want to buy. So you're gonna have to do everything online and via all this great technology we have. Well, there are a few things I think you need to know. I want to go over those so that you're making sure that you're asking the right questions to your real estate agent so that you're getting the best information possible. Let's get into it. All right, one of the scariest things to do is buying a house sight unseen. I know I just did a video on this a couple weeks ago, but today we're gonna narrow that down a little bit and discuss exactly what it means to actually do a virtual walkthrough with your agent or your builder rep or whoever's helping you purchase a property down here so that you can feel as much at ease as possible, because it's a little nerve-wracking. So before we jump into that real quick, we are real estate agents first. So if you do think you might be moving down to this area, reach out to us. The earlier the better. All of my contact information is on the screen. We'd love to help. And if you want to figure out everything there is to know about the Emerald Coast in general, well, hit that subscribe button and tap that little bell so that you'll be notified every single time we do a new video. Now, let's get into some of those things that you need to know to look out for and to ask for with your real estate agent whenever you're doing a virtual walkthrough. So this is great for any of the people that think that they're going to have to buy sight unseen. Maybe you're PCSing down here, you're military, maybe you're a veteran moving down here permanently, a retiree moving down here, you want to go over into 30A, move down here, but you can't necessarily jump over and just see every house on a whim because they're flying off the market so quick. We get it. So that's where technology comes in, and we want to make sure that you're prepped as much as possible. So question number one, you want to get out anything that you can't see in video. So what are you missing, right? When you're doing a normal tour, you can touch, you can see everything, you can hear everything, you can taste everything. You wouldn't taste anything during a home showing, but I guess technically, I guess that would be a thing, but my point is you've got all of your senses there, and so many of those are getting eliminated whenever you're doing a walkthrough. Your hearing is getting impeded by whatever microphone your agent is using. The video, again, is getting impeded by whatever resolution they might have or how they're holding the camera, how quickly they're moving, and most importantly, you're losing smell and you're losing touch. So you're not able to actually feel anything, you know, that you ever taken your shoes off in a house and the floor's a little sticky? That's not good. You might want to know that. That's how well they're taking care of the house. So question number one that I would definitely ask is, are there any odors that you were smelling in the house, in or around the house, outside the house, anything? Because if you're 2 doors down from a waste management plant, which I don't think you can do out here in our area, but just bear with me. If you are, you might want to know that outside smells a little rough, a little crappy, if you will, right? Same thing on the inside, you know, if there's a smoker inside of the house, or if there's 3 or 4 dogs that aren't being, you know, or cat pee everywhere, those are things that you're not going to necessarily notice. So make sure you ask your agent directly. Now, on all of these questions, most agents are already going to do these for you automatically, but just put in that extra layer of safety and ask the questions, because humans are humans, and sometimes we're not thinking about things, or they're not thinking about things, and they let something slide through. We don't want that to happen. We want to make sure that you're protected. So on top of just the pet smells, also garbage, you know, sewage, moldy odors, you know, mildew, that kind of smell, just really any other odor. Question number two, this is one that you're generally probably going to ask anyway, but just make sure that this is a pretty good time to do it, because this is when your excitement is either up or down. If you really like this home, you want to make sure you have this information ahead of time. That is, how quickly do you feel as a professional that this home will sell based on where it's at, you know, what it looks like, just basically everything that they're seeing. Because something that they know is going to go very quick is in a good neighborhood, it's dressed right, it's priced right, everything's looking good to go. What you don't want to do is sit back, send this to your family, you know, send the video to your family, your wife, your kids, your aunts and uncles, and wait for everybody's approval. And by the time you call your real estate agent back, they go, I'm so sorry, it's gone. So we're not trying to put a brush on anybody. That's never what we are trying to do. And maybe some agents, maybe that's their tactic, I don't know. But my point is, most agents aren't going to try to rush you with anything, but they also don't necessarily want to jump in front of you and be like, hey, this is going to go quick, let's go. For some real estate agents, that is a tough conversation that they don't want to have. One that they should, but that they might not want to. So it's good for you to make sure that you kind of back yourself up a little bit and make sure that you ask that question so that you know how hot this property actually is. All right, question 3 that you should be asking is, how old are all of the appliances? Not just the fridge and, you know, the water heater, but the air conditioner and even the roof. I know that's not an appliance, but you get get my point, the roof, just all of the main components of the home. And second question on top of that is, are they all conveying? Because not everybody conveys the refrigerator. There'd be nothing worse than you moving all the way sight unseen. You get into the house with a whole fresh load of groceries that's been sitting in a cooler that you're ready to throw in there, and there's no fridge. That would not be fun. And you also want to make sure that the AC and the roof and all of these other main components are a little bit newer, so you don't just drop a whole bunch of money. You just put 20% down or 3% down or whatever your situation was. Even if you'd put no down and you walk into a house and all of a sudden the AC breaks, that's not a fun situation. So make sure that you know the ages on all of these things, and if you can, actually have them take a little video of it, get the serial number, so you can look up what the average life and everything looks like on that particular model. Question number 4. Can you tell me about the neighborhood and how close it is to your major amenities, grocery shopping, outlets, the nearest movie theater, whatever you're into, whatever things you generally visit? Ask that question and how close they are to all of those things. Because whenever you're looking online, you're in Google, you're kind of seeing the map, and in your head, your area might be like, oh, from here is only like 10 minutes. But in our area, that could be an hour-long thing. We don't know, right? That shouldn't be the case, but whether you're buying here in another area, it might actually be that way. So make sure that you ask those questions. Now, be very careful on when you ask. The beginning portion of that question is, tell me about the neighborhood. Keep in mind that real estate agents here in Florida are bound to certain rules and laws and regulations. We're not able to tell you everything that we might know about the neighborhood in general. For instance, crime facts, or one of my favorites is the demographics, right? How many people live here that are like this or like this? We can't answer that. You're gonna have to go somewhere else to get that. So don't expect those kind of answers, but definitely expect some of the answers to the proximity of everything, because that's very important. You want to make sure that your agent knows where everything's at, that they sell in this area regularly, they know the housing, they know, where the great grocery shopping is, they know that there's a big festival that happens over here every year, they know that putting up your Christmas lights in this area is very important, or else the neighborhood will kind of look at you bad. Like, all of these are great things to know, because if one of those things doesn't fit with your lifestyle, it's better to find out now while you're just visiting everything through a screen. Now, question number 5 goes back to a little bit of what I was alluding to earlier about you losing your senses, and that is sound. So most agents are going to have some sort of sound going on, whether you're FaceTiming or Zooming, or if they're just taking a video and sending it to you, but you're not necessarily going to get the full picture as if you were actually inside of the home if you were doing a personal walkthrough. So outside noises might get muffled by the microphone, or the neighbor banging on the wall, somebody doing construction 3 buildings over, or 3 houses over, what have you, or a plane flying overhead. How often does that happen? Things like that, because particularly in our area, when it comes to planes, that is something that we have to consider. We've got 3 major bases around us that each have aircraft, and they're flying around all the time. So a lot of our area does get aircraft noise. Now, most of us locals, we love it, but not everybody does. So these are great questions to make sure that you ask your real estate agent so that you get the full picture. All right, question number 6 is, again, something else that I feel like most real estate agents are going to focus on and point out, but ask the question anyway. Is there anything worn? Is there anything rubbed down? Is there anything that just doesn't look like it's up to par? It doesn't look like it's on the standard scheme of the rest of the house, or even worse, is the whole house just a little bit, worn? Has it been lived in heavily? Things like this, just to make sure that you're getting exactly what you're thinking, or what you're wanting, because sometimes in video and pictures, things look great, but they're not as great in person. So for them to be able to actually, kind of take the camera down and show you, okay, well, it looks like there's a stain here. Maybe somebody put a pot on this countertop. So this is something to note. If this drives you nuts, you might want to budget in to replace countertops. Just things like that, so that you get the overall picture of the home, and that they're just not, oh, hey, this is the living room. Okay, cool. Again, I'd like to feel that most agents are going to be showing you that stuff, but just ask the question just in case. Question number 7 probably should have been like question number 1, but I didn't think about it until halfway through, so we're just going to get it out now. And that is, will this video be recorded so that I can go back to it and look at it later? This is great because your excitement is high, and if this is the right house for you, you might want to look at it a couple of times because you didn't get to go in there and feel it and feel the atmosphere and everything, and just, all the good stuff. So see if they have some sort of recording that they can send you so that you can look at it multiple times. And number 8 is one that shocks me to my core, that more people people don't do. I've actually noticed on a pretty big level that a lot of real estate agents don't do this, but they don't show the street. I don't know why you would not show the street. That's such a huge, important, the whole area in general is so important. So if you need your agent to drive the neighborhood holding up their cell phone out the front door or window, hopefully not the whole door, but you know, just do that, or have a passenger with them kind of show the whole neighborhood, have them do that. That's part of what they're there for. They need to show you the whole picture, and they're never going to be upset about wanting to do that. And so even if it's just the front yard and just kind of look down the street, here's your neighbors on these sides over here, and boom, here's your house. That's how I like to start my tours. I start right on the street and I go, this is where I came in, right there's the main road. That's 98 over there. It's about 3 miles away. You've got your closest shopping. So I kind of go through everything right there on the front, and I go, hey, your neighbors are looking good over here. This guy's not mowing his lawn. Just keep an eye on that. It's not normally like this, or what have you. Just kind of showing the whole picture, and then boom, now it's about the house. I think that's very important to show the overall picture, because a house could be amazing, but if you roll up to it on day one and 3 of your neighbors aren't mowing their lawns and they've got 15 cars out in the driveway and that's not the aesthetic you were hoping for, well, that's going to be a big problem down the road. And number 9, another thing that a lot of people aren't thinking about is, are the floors intact? Are they creaking? Are they floating? Are there anything wrong with it? How are the transitions looking? This is very easily overlooked when you're walking around with a camera, because the natural tendency is to show everything at eye level, right? Like, that's what I want to show. That's what most agents want to show. Now, I make it a point to make sure I kind of look down at all the transition and show you, hey, here's the carpet transitioning from here to here. You know, there's a little bit of dirt and grime there. It might need a little bit cleaning. Maybe it needs replaced. You want to make sure that you're getting all of that, and without you being in the home, you're not going to notice if you're walking around and one of the floorboards creaks and it just dips in 3 inches, right? So you want to make sure that they're noticing that and that you're putting it in their head, so that when it happens, if they're in the middle of a conversation, you're like, oh, look at this kitchen. Oh, hold on the floor, you know, because if not, they just might be excited and moving on with everything and talking about how great the kitchen is, hoping to get back to the floor, and then they completely forget. So, you know, just call it what it is. We're trying to give them a benefit of the doubt here, but make sure you ask the question so that you're covered as well. Now, number 10 on the list is make sure that you're asking them if they're showing you any cracks or blemishes, anything wrong with the drywall, any paint mess ups, anything like that. One of the most common things that we see that you can't tell in video, I've watched video over and over again where I'm trying to explain what it's showing, and sometimes even the video doesn't show it right, is blemishes in paint. And what I think is happening here is these people, homeowners, whatever, they have stuff on the walls, they're hanging up family photos, they take out all the nails, they spackle everything, they're trying to do everything right, make sure everything looks good, and they take their can of paint to, you know, the Home Depot, that's what I call it, Home Depot, I know, or Lowe's, or wherever else they're getting their paint, and they're saying, hey, match this, and then saying, okay, cool, what sheen are we going to do? Oh, I think it was eggshell. And they get home, they paint it, and everything looks fine, because whenever you first paint something, it's shiny anyway, and then when it finally dries, it still has a little bit more sheen or a little bit less sheen to it, because you've got the wrong type of sheen on the paint. So I know that's a kind of a long-winded thing, but that's very, very common, and you'll see it. And sometimes you won't notice it when you're looking at it straight on. You'll only notice it whenever you're looking at an angle. So make sure that your agent's kind of doing that, hitting the lights a little bit so that you can see if any of that's messed up, because I promise you, for a lot of people, they're going to move into a house like that and it's going to drive them crazy. It would drive me crazy. I don't want the whole thing repainted. Just clean slate, do the whole thing, might as well, right? So make sure that you're getting into that, because painting is not necessarily cheap. So now, everything's been going great in the home tour so far. You're pretty interested. This next question is one that you definitely want to ask then. At that point, you don't need to ask it on everyone. In fact, most of these questions you don't need to ask on every home tour. Generally, you can go over this list right from the beginning and let them know these are all the things I'm looking for, go for it. But in the event that you do like it, and this is probably in your top 3, ask them the question, are there any concerns with the home in general that you haven't pointed out, or any concerns with the price, right? So this will kind of give you a good indicator on what the agent thinks about the price. And you can actually just outright ask them, what do you think of the price? Is high, low, is it's going to go? Kind of goes with the question beforehand, where it's like, how long, what do you feel about this property? Do you feel like it's going to be on the market a while or anything like that? But this is just asking that question again in kind of a different manner and just getting an overall feel for the property. Because if this is one that you like, you might want to hang up, talk it over with the spouse or whoever else, and then get right on that so that nobody else slides odds in there in front of you. Now, those are my 11 tips for different things that you should be looking out for when doing a virtual walkthrough. If you guys are thinking about moving to this area, as I mentioned before, let us know. And if you have any comments, please put it down below. We absolutely love talking to you guys. So actually, here's a great question. Where is your favorite city out of this whole area? If you've visited before anywhere on the Emerald Coast from Pensacola to Panama City, what is your favorite city and favorite thing to do while you're there? Put it down below in the comments. I want to know. Anyway, see you next week.